It's time to finish what we started. The second half, episode number 324, is coming to you next on the Indian Report podcast. Yes, let's begin Pioneer League because we've shorted them a couple of weeks now. So Pioneer League this past week 2 for them. Idaho Falls off to a very hot start so far to the year. Rocky Mountain, they may be legit. They may have just been taking advantage of their schedule so far. Those are kind of the big storylines I have to this point here. Also, a couple guys to highlight, but generally speaking, early in the year, hard to really start to piece together everything. I was like Grand Junction and Oakland are currently in a battle at the top of the ninth. Give you an idea of what time we were recording at.
My Pioneer League life has centered around what's going on with NOCO right now. So you might be filling me in more on what I have missed over this past week. Did anything stand out to you, or should we just investigate this thing on our own more? I don't know what your level of watching Pioneer League ball has been this week.
Yeah, it's not been very good, seeing as closed sport leagues are not exactly my strong suit at the moment, seeing as I'm not paying $30 a month to watch that.
True, and also it depends on like what you got going on. Like how many late nights can you pull in a week? I feel like that if I got some early mornings, that really dictates my Pioneer League watching.
So here's the thing: the late nights aren't a problem. The problem is that they want me to pay $30 a month. If they would like to send me a flow code so that way I could watch their games, well, that'd be great. But I don't think we're going to be getting that after this week. So hey, that's life in the city. But at least just watching the peripheries. Yuba Sutter stood out to me. It seems like they're winning games by notable margins. They're playing consistent baseball. They're coming through. Rough skid recently. Rough skid. 2 losses. Oh, no. Horrible. But pretty solid there. At Rocky Mountain, I can't tell if they're just taking advantage of NOCO.
And my fear for everyone involved here is that they play Yuba next. And if they just get smacked in the mouth by Yuba, there's going to be a conversation of like, oh, God, how bad's NOCO?
That, or has to flip the question, how good's Yuba Sutter?
Fair. Yeah. Again, it is, you have to wait so long to know what you're looking at in the Pioneer League because of these 6-game series. And like the fact that Yuba or Rocky Mountain and NOCO are playing each other for 2 straight weeks, it's like you're going to be a month into the year before you have a concept of what that is. Because you're right. Because if they get smacked by Yuba, it might just mean Yuba's great. So we're going to need them to play whoever it's next, which is Billings, which they're a 3-17 right now, so that will give a better concept. But like, man, the Pioneer League is so frustrating to try to figure out on the fly.
Exactly. See, I'm always going to default to giving flowers to people we've had in the program. So I'm going to give Billy Horton and his team flowers until they've otherwise, turned those flowers from celebratory to funeral flowers.
I don't doubt Yuba at all. I think I agree with you. I think that's a good team. I have seen some of their games lately because they've had some good matchups early. Yeah, that is a team that I think they're legit. I don't have any reason to doubt that. The question will be, I guess they've already started to answer because Ogden is a higher elevation team, and the pitching has certainly not looked as good as it did with Grand Junction in town. With Grand Junction usually puts up some runs, but a lot of that's their ballpark. But their pitching has given up 16, 29, 37 runs in Ogden, but frankly, it's not as bad as it could be. But that is a little bit of something to watch there if we're looking for vulnerabilities on Yuba. But who knows? By the time they're in Rocky Mountain next week, maybe it'll be real bad or real good.
Yeah. So like the other team I'm trying to sort out here is the team I'm just going to start off with, and then we kind of brief the conversation, which is that's fine because I don't really have too much in-depth knowledge on any one team here. Idaho Falls is a team I'm curious about because they're 8-2, so that would tell you on the surface, good team here. But then you start looking through, and they're beating up on a Billings team that has had a rough start. They beat up on a Great Falls team that's been very rough. You have Boise that's kind of here. They lost their first 5, and they won the next 5. So I really can't tell what to make of these teams, right? Like they are, like you said, it takes really a month before you know who's who. And I don't really know what to make of it, right? And like I'm still not going to have much. Like Billings, for example, they got beat up a little bit by Missoula, but that's Missoula. Then you got beat up by a presumably good team in Idaho Falls. We don't know yet. Great Falls on the flip side, they're 2-8. So like I'm inclined to believe they're just not good. They took a couple wins against Glacier, but they lost some big football scores. And then Boise beat them up. Now, is Boise good, or is it they're taking advantage of a bad team? Because, I mean, they lost their first 5 to Idaho Falls, which we think is a good team. Oh, they didn't lose the first 5.
This is a circle, by the way. This is what this is one of those things where it's like, it's like the chain of like, everything is eating the thing in front of it until it circles back, and the one thing is eating the first thing that you started with.
Yeah, it's just like tail.
It's that. It's like, are they good or are they bad? Are they good? Well, they beat them, which means they could be good or bad. So we have to see how they played. Well, they also could be good or bad. So we don't actually know. So we have to wait on them. It's one of those things where like I think we're getting clarification on 3 teams at a time as things start to regulate a little more. Because there's even 500 teams who, they just played one good team, one bad team. So you're like, well, what does that mean? And now Boise or Idaho Falls, rather, I have been impressed with. I'll go on. I am a believer in the Idaho Falls situation here.
Okay.
That first 3-game stretch where they gave up 4 runs in 3 games, taking on Boise was impressive. They did give up more runs playing Billings, but they're still finding a way to win ball games. Which is, if you can win in low-scoring games and you can win in high-scoring games in the Pioneer League, I tend to believe in you. They're also not walking guys very much, and they're doing they did have a couple exception games, and in those games, this doesn't hold true. But the key seems to be in those games that they're successful, they do seem pretty good at stringing together shutdown innings, scoring runs and not giving up runs right away. And then also the other thing I caught them with is a guy gets on base and like, they are able to, had a couple situations where they just made good, reasonable decisions, like a couple where it's like, are they going to try to turn 2 and they make the good call, knowing the offense is going to score runs. I mean, like if he gets to second, it's whatever. Let's get the out. Like, let's not make this a weird situation where something goes wrong and now it's 2 on, nobody out. Like little things like that. It just seems they could be a problem in a 3-game series later in the year or a 6-game series if you need some wins, because they are going to make you earn it for the most part.
Okay.
Look at me with Idaho Falls knowledge. I saw a few Idaho Falls games randomly, just by that's the way it was the game that was on type of thing.
Mm. Yeah, I will say this much: Connor Harrison has been very good to start the year. I grant you, he's 25, so a little bit older for this league, but through 2 games, 1 start. 14 innings, a 1.28 or 1.29 ERA with a whip under 1. I mean, that's good play. So there's that, and the plus side for the Voyager so far too. Roman, probably Kuntz, right?
I like to think so, but I mean, look, I don't judge her.
But yeah, slash line for him: 441, 548, 853, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs in 9 games. So good for him. Although offense has notably been up in this league, as we mentioned way earlier in this show.
Yeah, and part of that is, again, I think NOCO just did not assemble a team that could compete. But I do worry about.
I mean, even non-NOCO teams though have been getting smacked.
Yeah, there is. We saw last year something that stuck out to me with YOLO, now Yuba, is they had a good back end of the bullpen figured out. And in a league where, I mean, how many games do we see in Pioneer League where maybe you fall asleep on the couch and it's the 7th inning and it's like 8-1, and then you wake up and it's 8-7 in the 9th. You're like, whoa, okay. Where things escalate and you burn pitchers and games get crazy, you lose games you should win. YOLO really showed last year how good it can be to have a good back end of the bullpen. And I think Idaho Falls has a shot with that. They've got Connor Butler, who's been sketchy, but when he's good, he's good. He strikes out a ton of guys. The problem is he walks guys. So if he can figure it out, he's cool. He's not as high leverage. But then they got Robert Hughes, who's looked really good early, and Ricky Tibbett. They actually strung them together tonight, I think. Yeah, exactly, tonight. So timely work, Ryan. Those are 3 that's going to be interesting to see. That's where I think, again, if you can do things like that, you should be able to do things. And because there's a lot of late run scoring, a lot of it's lack of pitching depth and teams run out late. If you have guys late, you can kind of hold serve while your offense gets to try to score some. And that's key. Sorry to overdo it on Idaho Falls right now, but I find them interesting.
Yeah, no, good. Only other team in the Pioneer I really wanted to mention.
Yep.
Oakland is hard to read.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to make them because I think they're a good team, but I don't know that they're a good team. If that makes sense.
I think they're good, not great. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, because they struggled a little bit against Ogden, right? But then they got their knockout home run derby, whatever we're calling it these days, win. Then they got some crooked numbers put up against them. Then they respond with a 16-1 drumming, a 9-2 drumming. Okay. Then 8-2 loss, then a 4-3 win, then a 5-0 loss. These last couple are from Grand Junction. Then a 9-1 win, and then tonight I believe they won 4-3. So I don't know what to make of that. I think they're good. I like some of their players. Dude, who's going to be performing?
That feels right, frankly. I mean, Grand Junction and Ogden are two teams that kind of are. It's hard to say average because I think they work out to average over a season, but they get there by a lot of highs and lows. Grand Junction more than Ogden. So it's not surprising to see Ogden, win a 5-4 game in the game one when you got your actual ace starters on the mound, and then lose 12-5, 13-9, then bounce back with 16-1. That's Ogden. That tracks 9-2 after that. And then again, Grand Junction loses 5-0, but they scrapped out a 4-3 and a 9-1. Then they lose a close one. Like that all tracks with Grand Junction. So I think this is about right. We're going to learn a lot more with Glacier this week coming up, but I would not, if I'm Oakland. Yeah, we're going to learn a lot about them the next 10 because they got Glacier, Missoula, Ogden on this road trip. So that's going to be an interesting one. If they can get out of that with a 6-6, dude, I think that's a good road trip for them. Keep them close. And then the big issue here is going to be, and I should do a deep dive into this, who is playing NoCo the most? Because that is going to maybe take away a playoff spot that we think is open for business.
Billings has them this week. Billings will have them coming up. A couple series to watch. We mentioned a second ago, Yuba at Rocky Mountain. Coming up next week. That's one that I definitely want to keep an eye on. And then Ogden at Boise could be a telling one as well. So keep an eye on that.
Yeah, there's actually at least some what I would call academic series happening where we're going to learn a thing or two.
Exactly. So fun week coming up with the Pioneer League. Hopefully we didn't shortchange you guys too much on the baseball talk this time around. Definitely want to try to do a better job covering them this year. We shorted them in the past, but
we will. I'm pretty in on it, and anytime that Andrew's over, we're watching Glacier games at least. So that's helping because now he's devoted to Glacier. So once you send the guy a hat, man, that's all it takes.
I am really getting forward to doing a Glacier watch party at some point.
Dude, it's going to be a riot. It's going to be a good time, baby.
Can I show up in a goat suit?
Yes, absolutely. Why would you not? It'd be weird if you didn't, frankly.
It better be on the socials.
Well, yeah, probably. Why not?
Get me the hat. I'll get
sexy goat party. What? That's how it goes sometimes. Would you quick rundown here? Who is playing NoCo this year? I've got Rocky Mountain and Grand Junction and Ogden playing them 18 times each. Billings plays them 12 times. YOLO and Oakland and Missoula all play them 6 times. Boise plays them 12 times. That leaves, off the top of my head, I think I called them YOLO, Yuba. But I think that leaves us with who does not play them. It feels like Idaho Falls does not play them. Tough for them.
Oakland?
Great Falls does not play them. Oakland does play them for 6. And that might be... There's one more team. Glacier, I don't think, plays them at all. So that's tough for them, man. Because Glacier's got a bunch of Missoula games and no NoCo games. Idaho Falls is up. They're up at the second spot, and they're going to have to fight hard. They don't have any help from NoCo. And Great Falls is already having a tough time. They don't get any NoCo games. So tough.
It is a tough draw there. So on that note, why don't we move on to the Frontier League, week number 3 for the Frontier League. Windy City has been on a little bit of a skid. Didn't want to mention until I noticed it. At the time I did my notes, which is before the games on the 30th, they were on a 10-game loser. Do we have thoughts on the 10-game losing skid that they have currently undergone?
I'm pulling it up right now. Let me take a look.
We have also now transitioned into the point streak portion of this podcast for those following at home.
Yeah. Did they get a dub today? Is that what we're seeing?
They may have. I have to get to that point. Because I don't.
Oh no, they lost today. Windy City lost today. They're 3-17
straight, baby. Let's get it.
Let me check how this has been going.
Hold on, let's get them started on a winning streak again. So how many games in a row are they going to lose?
Right now, right? And to be fair, yeah, that does. To be fair, that was 15-0 today. Dude, Lake Erie is absolutely merciless right now. When they beat teams, they're beating them. Windy City. Okay, so this is not good. They're obviously in a bad spot, all things considered.
They started behind the 8 ball. That's a fair thing to admit.
Right. The vibes are probably a little weird there.
Very odd.
This is a tough managing assignment. And yeah, it's not going to get better, man. I got Gateway and Schaumburg coming in. Yeah, I mean, Gateway has not been blowing people's doors off, but Schaumburg's a situation to deal with. Actually, Gateway's on a 5-game skid. This might be the right timing. Well, I guess, and it could be 7. We're playing Sussex right now. Yeah. So we'll see.
Wow. So, like, Windy City's last win, in case anyone was wondering, was the game
that we were dunking on them for not and talking about how Quebec was never going to lose again. They beat Quebec 15-6 after losing 22-5 in game 1 of a doubleheader, and then have not won since.
As the kids would say, they spent all their aura on that.
Yeah, I mean, not a bad investment aura-wise. Yeah. Things should calm down for them, is what I want to say. I'm pulling. Hold on, I need 2 screens here. Okay. Because they have Gateway, Schaumburg, Florence, and Evansville, Mississippi is a potential turnaround spot. Mississippi, it does seem to struggle, but the problem is Mississippi's doing a thing where they're beating teams they should beat, and they should beat Windy City, so that kind of does not bode well.
Go ahead, and that's the conversation we had, 2 weeks ago now in the state. No one's hitting.
I mean, and that's the frustrating thing is like
Rear and Phelps. That's it.
We've known this,
yeah. I mean,
and that's where I tend to be a little more rough on team assembly. Is I'm like, okay, so let's if we go back, Windy City to what we looked at preseason, your offense was really bad last year, and then you seemingly added very little and reduced some solid players, and yeah, it's now league worst. So, what did you expect to happen, friend? You know, they're losing games on average by 3 runs per game at this point when it comes to run differential.
See, what's kind of getting me here, so I'm looking at their pitching staff right now, right? Mm-hmm. And like Evers, Duncan, Pindle, it's not a bad 1, 2, 3 at the top. All of them are, around a 3, 2.98, and 2.94, 3.26, 3.33, or 3.8. So that's not bad at all. I mean, I'd like Evers to throw more than 5 innings. I'd like Duncan to throw more than 5 innings. And I'd like Pindell to throw more than 6 innings. But, actually 6 innings is fine. But, I mean, there's a lot of hits. That whip is not going to be friendly. But only walk 2 guys through 24 innings. So, I mean, hey, if you're going to give a base runner, they might as well beat you. Don't give it for free. And Evers 11 walks in 15 innings. Don't love that. 20 base runners, it looks like. So there. But any case, the starting pitching has been bad for the first 3 days. Then it seems like they kind of piece it together. Like if Newman's your 4, I don't hate it at a 4.73. Gets some strikeouts, but he walks some guys too. Gives them some hits. But he's fine as a 4. It's just the 5th, unless he Vate's more the 4 or Vats more the 4. And that's, a 9 ERA is not good through 4 starts. It's not.
No.
You piece me in the guy spot. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that.
The 5 is whatever. You assume most teams are going to be throwing away the 5, but the 4 has to at least give you a competitive chance.
That's agreed. I'm not. The funny thing is, this offense is technically outperforming their projections. That's the other thing. I'm like, this team could arguably be worse. The thing here is, there's guys who have potential, but they got shut out tonight. And if you look at their 4 through 9, the best batting average in the squad, and I know you love hearing about batting average, is 222.
Yeah, that
They
gets
got
me
4
going.
hits tonight. 3 of them were from the 8 and 9 spot. And here's the problem. Worse than that, 0 walks, which draws us to maybe the other issue is 9 walks from the pitching staff tonight. Dude, Escobar went complete game shutty on him, though. By the way, Escobar's nasty, too. So let's not breeze over that when it comes to tonight's game. Anthony Escobar has gone 5 inning shutout, 5 innings with 0 earned, 6 innings, 2 runs, 9 innings shutout. So, also that's happening. Tough matchup for the boys.
I mean, he also only threw.
That is like Noko having to go open up with Rocky Mountain, by the way. The worst possible situation.
Like, here's the thing.
105.
That's true. Like, Escobar is great. I mean, sub-1 ERA is always going to be great. But, like, he only struck 2 out. Right.
25. He could go.
Yeah, 105 pitches he threw. Only about 30 of them were balls. And he only faced 32 batters.
I got to dig in. I don't know.
Pounding the zone. And if a pitcher feels comfortable just to pound the zone, he knows, like, they're not going to hit him.
No one's a threat, dude. No one's a threat in that lineup.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
But that's the thing. Like, Katowski, he's the only guy with pop. He has 4 home runs. That's it. And then, like, Greer and Phelps, you got to worry about. That's about it. Everybody else is around the Mendoza line or has no power. And so it's like, okay.
And there is, Windy City's a weird ballpark. We've discussed that in the past. They were in Lake Erie tonight, but I'm just trying to think of it from the assembly of playing that ballpark. I don't think it's the most functional decision on how they built this thing. It does come in to be about a league average, when it comes to park factors. So it's not overly pitcher friendly, but I don't know. I mean, you put them in Lake Erie, which is pretty pitcher friendly. Yeah, they're probably in trouble. I'd probably attack the zone too, especially when it's 10-0 in the second inning.
Yeah, it does give you a little bit of leeway there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. A lot of strikes going in after that, so that makes sense.
We're reaching the point where, like, you're nearly a quarter of the way through the season, which is crazy to think we're that far in.
We need promotion and relegation so bad.
I'll
sort this out real quick.
One day we'll have it, but until then, we are stuck with this. But we're reaching the point where we got to start making some moves. Some people got to get sent packing because it is not working.
Right. Let me check this piece. I mean, that's the thing here. So when was opening day for them? I'm sorry. That's so stupid. I don't remember off the top of my head. It was May 8th, essentially. Yeah. So May 8th. So they made roster moves the day before opening day. 1 week later, they made one DL and activation move. So and then another DL and activation. And then they released 2 guys on the 28th. They released 2 more on, again, the 20th, 29th. So they released in the 20th and 29th, and then the 30th, they dropped some guys. And then after that, they made a DL move the next day. So it took till the 28th for moves to start being made. I maybe would have made moves sooner, but I kind of get it. They were on the road.
It does make it a little tougher.
No. Hold on. Let me double check that. I'm, of course, looking at the wrong schedule because of who I am as a person. Where were they? Windy City just now. There we go. We're back. The schedule. They were on the road for the 24th, 25th, 26th, but they were in Joliet, so it's not really the road, if we're honest. And then they were home and started making those moves. I mean, I also get the fact that, you know what it is, too? No, I can't fault them for waiting so long to make moves because they were getting smacked around by Quebec and Lake Erie there for a minute. And, they're both really good. So, okay. Then you get swept by Joliet and you go, guys, we might need to make some moves here. And then Sussex comes in your own place and beats the hell out of you. And you're like, well, all right. They didn't beat them that bad, but they lost by a few. They were keeping games fairly close, not talking about tonight.
So close that you'd say if they had 1 or 2 dangerous bats in the lineup, they may even win them.
Good Lord, right? If we could do something, anything.
Like, at a certain point, how much of it is
anybody?
Like, you're keeping things so close. But if everything's close, it means you're not really, standing out here. And there's only so much punching above your weight class you can do before we start to go, oh, wait, you're just not that good.
Can I change the subject?
What is it?
Mississippi's doing something weird.
All right, we can talk
Mississippi,
I do want to
who's
get to New
over
York.
a half run better than Windy City. I'm just going to mention this. They are stealing bags, second best in bases stolen. They're walking a bit. They should be. No, they're not walking much at all, actually. But they have a slugging below 300, and they have one home run in 16 games. Fascinating. I'm interested. And by the way, it is a pitcher-friendly ballpark they're in. It is not a bad move as a new indie ball team who has to build a roster from scratch. The big power guys are hard to get. They're the stars. They stick around places. They get paid well. They get signed away from you. It's not finding guys who will get the ball out and play and do something with it is not a bad move. Like, I endorse that strategy wholeheartedly for a first-year team.
One thing for those of us that like to travel to ball games and whatnot, Mississippi, I believe, may be coming out east. I was looking at the down east schedule, which they are currently playing the Boulders, who are the next thing to talk about. And as I'm first going to just quickly take a look at Mississippi to see if that all they come out east, do they, or is the furthest east they get Washington? I think Washington's the furthest east. Yeah, that's a bummer. Aaron.
Well, Mississippi tonight got a double. Big
for them.
Big for the squad. They are sitting on 21 extra base hits in 16 games, which is wild.
Yep. So Mississippi, interesting there. Windy City, they need to get some bats and turn that around. Speaking of turnaround situations, New York. Are we okay?
Yeah, this division was yours to lose, guys, and boy, are you losing it.
Some bag fumbling going on here. And like last week, we talked and we were like, okay, well, they got a real dog of a victory against Quebec. They fought them off, went ahead. It was a good dog fight. Good job there. And I had last week, New York at Ottawa as one of my series to watch. I said, this could be big. And what do you guys come out and do? You lose the first one on Friday, 4-1. Fine. Happens. Travel, all that, get it. Then you come back with a 7-zip win. Really good. Nice to see. Then you drop the last one, which last game for road trip. I get it. Night game into day game. Okay, fine. Drop it 5-2. Come back home. You get the win against Trois-Rivières. And now you've dropped 3 in a row, 2 to Trois-Rivières, and now 1 tonight down east.
Yeah, 2 in a row where it was 7-6, 7-6, but both times they scored 3 runs late. So it wasn't even really that close till the end.
Exactly. So now here we are, right? 6-11, 3-game skid, struggling here against teams you really should beat. And your only wins came off of inexplicably Quebec and Brockton.
Yes. Now, if I'm a silver linings guy, down east is beatable, and then they have Jersey and they have Trois-Rivières.
Yeah, but the Trois-Rivières team, you gotta go back up to there to get it after, a weird one-off in Jersey.
And that's a midweek too, and that's so dumb to do it that way, in my opinion, because it would make more sense to do. They do 2 in New York against Jersey, and then 1 in Jersey. And it's like, damn, like you couldn't help them out before the Trois-Rivières trip and had that be the home game. So because now you got to go down, even if it's just a little bit, go down into Jersey and then back up for the trip, because it's night game too. It's not even a day game. That's the one non-day game that's set. Which
that's the weird. I was about to point that out.
Do you have one non-day game and you make it the travel day? Are you high? What are you doing?
I want to point out the schedule here just for a little bit to give people listening some context.
There's a lot.
Today's Saturday the 31st. They're going to play a night game, 6:30 start against Down East. Fine, well, good. Sunday, 1 o'clock day game. Makes sense. That's the case for a lot of them. No, off day Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, both at home, 10:30 starts, back-to-back camp days. Little odd, but I do see it. Not that crazy. Thursday night game in Patterson at Hinchcliffe. So fine, not that bad travel-wise. Get done with that game, get on the bus, go up to 3 Rivers, 7-hour bus trip probably. that's before you really start to account for like, customs and all of that and dealing with the border. 3 games set up there, night game, that Sunday day game. Then you come back down. I assume they'll stay at home and not in a hotel because then their Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday set are all at Skylands. And I will certainly be there for that because I want to see those 2 go off. That's going to be telling me an awful lot. And then they go back home and finish out the week. Again, normal slate, 7 o'clock, 6:30, 1 o'clock against Gateway. And then they do have a long homestand because they have 3 against Quebec, 3 against Ottawa before they go on the road again. So even still, though, this start to June is very odd for them. I don't like that. I don't love how that bodes for them either. Even let's say they manage to take the next 2 against Down East. 2 games against New Jersey at home and then 1 on the road in Patterson there. I mean, like, you're probably going to drop at least 1 of those. And then that's a quick turnaround going up north of the border. I could see this getting really ugly.
I'm with you there. Might have to raise the Shep signal here because I'd love some input on why the Frontier League does so many of those like 1 game home, 1 game at the other team, like home and home type things. I know it's because they have a lot of local partners, but I wonder if they find that they do better on ticket sales when they do one of those. But either way, back to the topic at hand. Yeah, this does not bode well moving forwards. I got to say that. I'm curious as to what this is. If we go back to wherever the cool off point was last year, this team's on a massive slide right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do a little bit of legwork here, but
yeah. While you're doing that, I will notice. I'm just quickly looking through the batting here, and like, did you have guys that are driving in runs? I see a bunch of guys with double-digit RBIs through about anywhere from 15 to 17 games. So that's good. But I'm also noticing a lot of guys that are 20 strikeouts, 21, 22, 17, 16. A lot of Ks. You're averaging at least 1 a game for a lot of these guys here. Austin Dennis seems to be pretty universally the best guy so far. Not really striking out, finding ways to get on base, has a little bit of power. Stole 11 bags so far. He seems to be able to do it all right now. But my bigger point with the strikeout number is these aren't productive outs. You're not giving yourself a chance. That's the reason why everyone wants strikeouts for their pitchers, is that you take the randomness out of it. You take it hit a run on the infield and it bounced away from my second baseman and now the runner is safe and another guy advanced out of this. And it takes the, forcing the fielder to throw the ball to the bag out of it. And that's just kind of the issue I see here. They're not really giving themselves opportunities to succeed. And, when you do that, it really handicaps your whole offense here, especially an offense that's hitting 252 as a team that has scored, 88 runs across 17 games. Like, that's not bad. Nearly 5 runs a game. But when you also struck out 173 times, nearly, what is that, about 10 a game? That's not really helping.
Right. And the bigger point, too, is if you look, there's really 4 teams in that area. Well, 5, I guess, in that area. But the 4 teams I'm looking at, the top 4 in strikeouts so far from a batting perspective are Evansville, who also has been walking at a much higher clip than any of these other 3 teams that are in this conversation. And then it's Windy City, who we just said that offense is a mess, and New Jersey, who's a mess right now. So, and New Jersey's outscoring the Boulders ever so slightly. So, that is not the company you want to be keeping at this point when it comes to the plate discipline. Because it's one thing if you're striking out a lot, but if you're also balancing it with walks, it's like you're getting into those deep counts where it's 3-2, it's a pitch on the edge. Like, honestly, if you work counts out, you will get some strikeouts because you're getting deeper into counts, which means there's more likely to be 2 strikes on you. Math. However, this is just it's really there's not much going for them right now, and their games right now don't have a lot of momentum. It feels like. Outside of like maybe an inning or 2 where they can piece it together, but a lot of them are just feeling very quiet.
Yeah, and like I do wonder too if the lagging offense and what I assume are a lot of over aggressive strikeouts, guys trying to make something happen and just not waiting for the pitch they need, is due to the lack of pitching depth here. Because realistically, they have two starters I really like, Olsen and Cooper. Cooper's one of my guys for the past week here. 9 inning, 2 hit, 1 walk, 4K, shutty complete game, obviously, for the win against Ottawa up there. Good job for him this past week. But he's been one of the few starters getting the job done here. You look at the other guys starting. Co started 3 games, averaging about 5 innings, ERA near 7. Sleeper appeared in 4 games, started 2 of 13 innings, so probably not going more than like 4 innings in those starts. ERA near 7. Vice, 3 starts, 13 innings, 4 innings per start, it looks like there. ERA of 8 1/3. And Stock, same boat, same amount of innings, same amount of starts, same exact ERA. Only plus side of him is I think he's allowed fewer starts or fewer hits. Yes, fewer hits and 5 less runs. Although admittedly, same amount of earned runs. So in the end of the day, what are we doing here? Fewer walks, fewer strikeouts for him too. So I guess Stock's slightly better. And I'm also noticing a lot of their strikeout pitchers happen to be those guys I just named that all have high ERAs. So to pull Scooby and the gang out here to kind of start to piece this together, dare I say what's happening is we have guys who they can't touch my stuff, but if they do touch it, ball go far.
Ball go far. True.
That's kind of the situation here. And also noticing some walks popping up here. Not right there. So it could also just be a control thing where it's like, I throw a ball hard. Oh no, that didn't hit zone. Oh no, 3-1 count. Got to get ball in zone. Oh no, ball go far.
Yeah. You got to be in a position to attack hitters or else you end up in those spots, man.
Exactly. And so I'm not like too panicky about it, but you are 7.5 back. You're last place in the division. Down East, a game away from being 500 too, by the way. Don't sleep on that. That can be interesting. But yeah, it gets late early,
Yes.
And yes, we're 17 games into a 96 game season. We have nearly 80 games left to play. And if you can't make up 8 games in 80 games, that speaks more about you than it does anything else. But that being said,
my team I'm looking at. Sorry, go ahead.
It also is the kind of thing where you can't let that kind of thinking dictate your decision making that much longer, because 80 games becomes 60 games, becomes 40 games, becomes, oh no, we're 10 games back with 30 left to play, and that's a tough bill.
Yes, agreed. Now, since we're talking boulders, and we've mentioned, and we went in a deep dive on their stuff before we sort of sorted out some other teams here. I have to mention the team that I feel might be on the trajectory of the 2024 boulders, which was ran away with that division and then got reeled right back in once their schedule got tough. Sussex County is currently holding what, at this point, based on how things have shaken out so far, is potentially the least impressive 15-5 I've seen in a minute.
Second best team in the league, though.
They've taken so far 3 out of 4 off of Trois-Rivières, then swept Brockton in 3, dropped 2 out of 3 against Tri-City, dropped 2 out of 3 against Trois-Rivières, and then swept New Jersey and swept Windy City. They got Gateway coming in soon. They're back with Trois-Rivières for 2, and then they got Ottawa. So we're going to start to learn a little bit more as things go. Not that those teams are setting the world on fire. But yeah, what I'm really looking at is June 10th, where they see New York. We'll see if they have it together by then. That could be one where they bury them. And then they got Quebec for 3, Ottawa, and then Quebec again on the road, which will be a learning experience. So yeah, that is one thing there. It's also hard to ignore the fact that they committed murder on Sunday against New Jersey. Good Lord.
Oh, yeah.
No, New Jersey drops that one 25-7. Good Lord. 11 runs in the 6th that'll help. But yeah, man, that was
has been doing a lot lately. They've been doing it.
They have been, but they've also the pitching of the teams they've been hitting also hasn't been doing much. That's where I'm nervous for them once they start to see a different level of competition.
7 death win against Gateway is impressive, though.
That is good.
Because they can take 2 of 3 from Gateway.
Yeah.
Then we have a conversation.
Yeah, I agree. We can take that seriously. However, yeah, man. I mean, everybody in the lineup got a hit that night. All but one had more than one hit. They did have 24 hits throughout the game. Everybody had an RBI that night.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Zimmerman. Damn, tough game, buddy. Down the 9 hole, 3 Ks, but that's about it, man. And then on the pitching side wasn't exactly setting the world on fire, but pressure's off. Just throwing the ball in the zone, seeing what goes well. So I just had to mention it. New Jersey is a struggling, though they're still above the Boulders right now. So that'll be interesting again. The potentially the worst division in indie ball, despite the fact that the Miners are much better than expected, but balanced by the fact that the Boulders are much worse than expected.
Yeah, I will say that no matter what, to have 2 everyday players hitting over 400 and 5 of them hitting over 6 of them hitting over 300, it's like you're rolling out for the same lineup every single day, and only 3 guys here are really like, we'd like a little bit more. Really, only Zimmerman, who's a guy that I was really high on, is like, we'd like a little bit more. But even then, he only has 7 hits, but he has 15 walks. So like, don't really care. Like, he strikes out a lot, but he still walks a lot. So like, he's using the count. So like,
Zimmerman is funny too. He's a weird one where I just opened 2 different box scores, and in one he's batting 9th, and the other, he pinch hit in the other one. Okay, that makes. I was like, he was in the 5 spot for one. I was like, oh, okay, he pinch hit. But yeah, I mean, and he did just have a 4-game hit streak, so it's not like he's not like literally it's going well. I mean, his on bases was at one point hovering near 400. So
yeah,
it's about what you bring to the table.
Yeah,
an impressively low slugging percentage. Great commitment to the bit. Only bolstered by 1 triple, which I love that.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. But like,
swiping bags too, 9 steals and not many opportunities.
Yeah, and to continue to give Sussex their flowers, starting pitching has been phenomenal for them so far. Reagan,
yeah, agreed.
Balzan, Thornton, Brothers, and Hensey, all under 4. Most of them under 3, and they're all giving you at least 5 innings. Well, not Hensey. Hensey's not quite getting you 5 yet, but like even still, he's your number 5 starter. Like he's still giving you 17 innings, and he has a sub 4. I'm not complaining. My both can deal with it that day. So and Parsons has looked good as the primary reliever. Looks like one of the primary guys. He's the long man certainly. Plenty of guys are really performing here. Really, there hasn't been a short bag here. Lunicky, I'd like to see a little bit more out of. And it seems like Still's kind of like the, hey, brother, we need someone to eat this one. You're the eat this one guy. So, and that guy like a Bobby Curry, I'm apparently comfortable with him turning it around. Same thing with Lunicky, to be quite honest here, but he's just had a rough go of it to start. I think 1 or 2 bad outings really the culprit there. I have to look at his appearance list, but still, overall, yeah, it's really like 1 bad outing against 3 Rivers. Actually, the 1 game I watched against them, where they got the extra inning one. So even still, I do think Sussex has kind of been a product of the schedule, but only to a degree. I still do think that you don't put up those
you guys got to beat the team in front of you.
Exactly that, and there's beating the team in front of you, and then there's decisively being the team in front of you, and they're far more the latter at the moment. So the Gateway Series is going to be a real benchmark. I've signed to some Sussex people around the Sussex ecosystem there, and I was saying, Sunday was impressive here. The road trip's a real telling point, and Gateway's the measuring stick, and right now they're measuring it pretty good. So let's see how that continues. Last point of order here, really, for the Frontier League. Any division right now you have in mind is kind of like the best one in this league? We talked in the past about the wide-ranging abilities of each team here. So I'm kind of looking across the board here, and there seems to be 1 or 2 teams in each division that kind of like, yes, these are the top ones. And right now, it looks like is the conference. But
yeah, I do think it's funny that we thought the East Division would be the worst and the least competitive with only one good team, and it is, but it's just not the team we even thought.
in fairness, Quebec good.
No, I mean, yeah, true. I think
two.
Tri-City might be a little better than we've seen so far, so I'm interested to see how that goes. But I also think they might aid, they might wear as the season goes on, but that's a different combo.
Tri-City is like a great first round opponent.
Yeah, they do. It's funny. I would say that the West Division in the Midwest Conference is the best, except for how bad Windy City is, and knowing that everybody else has kind of collected a couple extra wins because they're playing them.
That's fair. I do kind of lean Central Division, like the Y'alls and the Otters.
That's fair. Yeah,
but
they're also not disasters, by the way. They're
exactly. So they're fine.
A good series from 500.
Yeah, and in fairness to Florence, their opening bit was not good at all.
No,
the first series
they picked it up.
Yeah, exactly. They've recovered.
They've won 3 straight.
Yeah, and Lake Erie and Washington are fighting it out top the division here. It is phenomenal to watch.
Yeah, I agree. There's sort of like
very
checking back and forth between these games and just almost like watching tit for tat on that. It's been great.
Yes, it really is. So, series to watch and just a quick recap here from the ones I mentioned last week, and then we'll continue on. Miners Gateway series is obviously one to watch. We talked about a lot. Goes without saying. Titans Valley Cats, also watching that one. Those are two teams that really, I think, can start to make their identity known. Ottawa needs this. We didn't talk about them this week, but they could definitely be on the list to talk about next week. They need something soon from them. And Tri-City, they're, like we just said, they seem to be better than they let on, but we'll find out. And then Crushers Boomers next week. That could be a fun one there. Schaumburg, first in their division, but how much of that is boosted by the lower end of their division? Like Erie, going to be coming off of some tougher series. Well, I guess not so much the Windy City one, but definitely the Washington one. And this will be another good measuring stick for them. See how legit the Crushers are. So
I would point to Joliet and Mississippi as well. Joliet being a team that started out 3-5, and then has really picked it up since. Where are they sitting at now? 11-8. And that's just one where they are going to need to win series against teams that they should be beating to keep up with Schaumburg and stay competitive, and then really make up their games when they play Schaumburg like head to head. And also by beating Mississippi, it just kind of keeps Mississippi, off their tail a little bit. Just, the last thing you want is to get into a battle with Schaumburg, and obviously you have a third team creeping back in. So let's keep things clean here. Gateway obviously is right there too, but nothing you can do about that right now for Joliet. So you just got to try to maintain. You're in second right now and try to keep up the pace.
Yep, definitely there. And just looking back quickly on those three I mentioned last week, I had Gateway at Schaumburg. Gateway took only one of those, an 8-1 winner in the first game, then lost a 4-1 and 5-4 to Schaumburg. So impressive for Schaumburg. Could be troublesome for Gateway later on. Ottawa, New York, we ran through that already, so we won't rehash that here. And then the Washington Lake Erie series lived up to the billing, as we were just alluding to. A 10-8 winner for Lake Erie. They dropped the next one in the sudden death round, a round that I know Ryan loves how that wraps up and finishes. So good to see from them. And then Washington takes a 6-5 winner at the end there. That's a war. That's a playoff series I want again, because this time it may end a little bit differently, or at the very least be far more entertaining to watch. So love that. Also, Tyreek Reed, great week for him. Hit over 400, slugged over 700, hit 2 home runs, had 7 walks and 7 ribbies. So good for him.
Yeah, man. Frontier League's kind of delivering right now. There's some hard ones to watch, but for the most part, they're delivering.
Yeah, definitely got some good ball going on here. Up next, we have American Association, admittedly American Association, and Atlantic League. You're getting the short bag this week, but you've had a good run so far, so I don't want to hear complaints. So what we have here is really 2 main things I want to talk about. First off, it's a time to worry in Winnipeg. And 2, Gary, we talked about this last week. Situational hitting. I'm going to rehash this quickly because I don't want to keep doing this, and it's the last time I'm going to go on this rant because, well, I have no real way of meaningfully affecting their approach to play. but it doesn't aggravate me whenever I watch Gary.
Yeah.
And then I also want to talk about Winnipeg a lot more than I want to talk about this again. So let's set the scene a bit. I want to make sure I have it right before I start going off on it. Because they got me going again. Yep. Here we are. Gary. They were stymied all game playing Fargo. They've only managed 2 hits all day, but they're keeping Fargo, a team that is among the best in the league, at bay. Good job there. Pitching staff has certainly done their job. All you can ask from them, right? So, here's what Gary had in the 9th inning. Keep in mind, they're down by 2 runs. Actual base hit. Jarius Richards gets a walk. All right. So you have 2 on. 2 are on right now with none away in the 9th.
Yep.
This is a situation, right, where you go, I am going to trust the team that I assembled to get the job done. Because nobody in this lineup has really done much in the way of getting a hit. In fact, one of the 2 guys that got a hit today has been yanked from this game. No one's really hitting. I'm noticing a lot of strikeouts in this game, something I didn't notice earlier, but whatever. What do you do with none away and 2 on? Your 2-hole hitter is up. Do you A, tell him work the count and see if you can't get a walk? Do you B, give him the green light to swing to try and get on base? Or do you C, tell him to bunt to try to move the 2 runners over? What would you do, Ryan?
We don't bunt.
But we both agree, no bunting in this situation.
Yeah,
that's
bunting.
The dumbest idea possible, right?
I just pulled the situation up here. Wait, do we have play-by-play on this game? Seriously?
Yeah, because here's what happened in that game, in case you're wondering. They attempted to bunt.
Oh, God.
And guess what happened the first time he squared the bunt?
What?
He had to yank it back because the pitch was up high.
Yep.
Then the second time he tried to bunt, guess what he did?
Did he have to pull it back?
Well, if I recall,
did he make contact even worse?
I don't recall if it was the second attempt that he got contact down or if it was the third attempt. I don't recall if it was a 1-1 count or a 1-0 count. But he did make contact. It landed right in front of the catcher. And you know what that catcher decided to do? Let me throw that ball to third. Because I can get that runner. And you know what he did?
Throw to third, if you're not getting a good lead, is actually not that hard of a play, and people don't think about it.
Got the out at third. But you go, okay, that's just 1 out. And now Jarius Richards is the lead runner. And like, if it's a quasi-deep ball, he'll be able to advance. And if it gets down for a hit, he could probably score because he's quick as hell. But you know what happened next? Called strike, swinging strike, foul, a ball, foul, strikeout swing, out number 2. Okay, well, we have our 4-hole hitter up in Contreras. And now we're thinking, okay, well, the command on the board has not been great so far. We have 2 guys on. What we should be doing here, right, is thinking, make him make a pitch. I'm choking up on this bat. I just need to get the ball down and keep the game alive. That's the play. Instead, he goes foul ball, called strike, strikeout. 3 pitches. Admittedly, the third pitch, a little outside, but also it was in the category of you look and go, you can't take that pitch.
Sure. So
this goes back to my main point of you don't bunt.
Yeah, and you're an old school, like you like anti-analytic ball.
I like kind of small, exactly. Analytics is the devil, but like there comes a certain point where You have 2 on and none away, and you haven't gotten anything going today, right? Okay, fine, I get it. You got to make a decision. What's more important, winning the 3 outs you have left in this game or moving those runners over? And so the way I look at it is, if your 2-hole hitter had done nothing, but your 3 and your 4 had been productive up to that point in the day, then sure. Try to get him to put down a bunt, assuming he knows how to bunt, which is becoming more and more of a lost art. But you tell him it has to be a squeeze. If it is not a squeeze, it's no good because they're going to get somebody else. And then we're going to have a problem. So it has to be a squeeze. It has to be down the first base line. It cannot be an easy play to third. That's off the bat. Secondly, when everybody in the lineup sucked today, you might as well let him swing and say, I put him in the 2-hole for a reason. I'm going to trust my guys to swing the bat and get on base and score the runs we need. And
don't get cute. That's not what we're doing.
Exactly. And that's what I come back to. You have 3 outs left. The guy is shaky. You have to have confidence in your guys.
You're giving an out to a guy who is begging for one.
Exactly. It goes ahead and says, okay, I got the first one. I'm good. All I need to do is just get something on the ground we can turn to. And we'll be fine. We'll be out of it. And I can look behind myself and go, ooh, got away with that one. And it's just the situational awareness again. And I understand the thought process there. But it feels like surrender ball to do it in that situation. And again, I hate to do this rant because it sounds like I'm nitpicking. It sounds like I'm just picking on Gary for the sake of picking on Gary. But it's just like, oh, you got a chance to get a win against a really good team. It's the kind of win your team really could use when you only have like 4 or 5 wins in the year. You go for it.
Let's remove. Stop playing scared, first of all. Removing even the context of the situation, correct? So like the fact of how the prior 2 batters had reached base, the fact of who is in the lineup batting at this point, who is behind them, whatever the case may be. It should be noted based on like the run expectancy matrix for any of my analytics people listening at this point. The having runners on first and second and nobody out in the American Association should give you on average about you're expected to score 1.65 runs in that inning. Not quite 2, but you're getting there. By bunting them over, surrendering it out, and making it second and third, you actually bring the numbers down to 1.5. So even devoid of context, which all pushes toward do not bunt, you have, even in a neutral situation, you have hurt the expected number of runs that you would be scoring in that inning.
It pisses me off for so many reasons because it's like, it's another classic case for me of I look at Gary and go, this team's better than they were, but they're still handicapped by what they can't do or what they're being told to do, and I can't tell which it is. I
have a potentially dumber point, but I think it's important in this situation, right?
Okay.
I am more accepting of this decision when on the road. When you are the home team with a bad team in a game that is on a Friday night. No, is that Friday night? No. Back
Thursday night.
That was Thursday night. You've got the crowd there. The people who are there are loyal. If I'm gonna lose, I'm going to lose swinging the bat and putting on a show. I know the point is to win games, but if we're talking about, if we're mentioning earlier, the problem in the Pioneer League a lot of times is that the games are not good to watch and you are trying to get repeat customers. If I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about the fans, and people have talked about how important the fans are. If I'm going to roll the dice either way, even if it was a 50-50, even if it was maybe even slightly beneficial to drop the bunt down, you know what? You got to swing the damn bat, dude. What are we doing? And the other thing is I get wanting to win, and I get that there are teams here who really value being able to drop that bunt down that way. Even if he drops that bunt down well, it's wrong, in my opinion, if you were trying to get guys signed to put that guy up in that situation and go drop a bunt down. That should be your best hitter in the number 2 spot. And if it isn't, that's another managerial concern entirely.
Exactly. Yes. I honestly, as dumb for points may seem, I do agree with it. I mean, you have 1,300 people, nearly 1,400 people in attendance on a Thursday night. That's a group that cares, right? And like, it's just annoying because they went out and they won the next night too,
right?
And they lost the night before 3-1, so they kept everything close. And like, it could be a dumb point to make, but you knock off a really good team in Fargo. You take 2 or 3 from them. Your one loss is a 3-1 loss. Okay, fine. It's fine.
I need to bring something up here.
Yeah.
This is Donovan Williams' like first game in the lineup. Let me see something here. This kid, okay, hold on. I need to learn more real quick. Don't want to jump on anybody. Okay, yep. He was with Evansville. He hit 250. Now he was with Chicago. So these are brief stints, not a lot of experience. You put him, I know this is not an offensive showcase team. You put him second in the lineup. Are we high? Like, that's not how you do lineup construction. Gary, get a baseball operations department. Grow up. This should never happen. It should never happen.
I just don't get it, man.
They have Andres Noriega batting 8th like it's 1998, and the catcher bats 8th because that's what the catcher does. What?
He's just their best batter. He's hitting
almost 300 this season. And I know traditionally he's not a great hitter, but guess what? Right now, the bat is hot. Let him get after it.
And what's
the difference between batting first and batting third over the course of a MLB season, so longer, is like 75 at bats.
That's a lot.
Put your best hitters first. Stop this. Stop playing this game. I want my fast guy up, and then I want my bunter guy next. And maybe that was why he was second, because he can bunt. Maybe that was the philosophy. And if he was, you should be launched into the sun. You shouldn't be managing a team anymore. I'll say the thing. It's not how baseball works. You need to, if you are not a manager, you're not occasionally taking a look at Fangraphs, I need you to come to Jesus.
Like, what's
Sorry, got me on a rant.
No, that's what this team does, though, because there's pieces here, and like they made a good addition by getting Jerry Richards.
4-win team or whatever the hell. That's crazy.
That's the thing. They're closer to a 500 level team, slightly below, but like a 400% win team. Like that's where they're roughly at, I think. That's what they should be. And like a guy like Jerry Richards is like a godsend to them, right? Where like he works counts, he gets on base, see him turn a walk into a double, he can hit for some power. He's a threat in the lineup. That's a dude that should be your leadoff man, if we're being real. He melds the perfect thing where it's like, if it's a walk, it's probably a double, so I'm cool having that kind of speed, but he's also probably our best hitter there. And like Peralta fits a 2-bill fairly well. Yeah, he strikes out a lot, but let's be real. What you have right now, everybody's striking out a lot, with the exception of like guys that haven't been here that long. And like Noriega is probably your better catcher, but he's played 4 games. Why is Cooper Edwards playing 15 games? I'm sure he's a really nice guy. He's also played 15 games, batting 100, struck out at least once a game. Has only walked 5 times. Why is he the guy? Is he really that great behind the plate that you need him there? Like, Contreras is another frustrating guy. His approach to the plate is horrific, but he's a pretty decent first baseman, fielding-wise. So, like, okay, I understand the justification there, although first base is a position I need some power out of at least. Like, what? And, like...
This lineup should be Nick Olch and then Richards, by the way. Olch batting 9th doesn't make any sense. What are we hiding him for? Trying to do the double leadoff thing where you have a fast guy and a fast guy. Stop it. You're not good enough to overthink.
I understand. Like, some people are still like, well, Lamar's not the problem. Like, well, I'm sure he's not the solution. I'm pretty sure by that.
The roster issues could be from many sources. The lineup in this case, and we are hyper examining one game, is, in my mind, even if there's issues or injuries, is inexcusable. Sorry, it's just, it is, and like, I'm not kidding when I say 1998. It's 1998 theory.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter how hot the catcher is, he's batting toward the bottom of the lineup. Why, dude? I've seen JT Realmuto lead off. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, because you get your good guys swings. Schwarber led off for 3 years for the Phillies. Was it always a great idea? No, but it was a pretty good idea. Shohei was leading off the other day. You know why? Because your best hitters should hit more often. Come on now. You can do this.
Like, at least compromise. Put your best.
I don't hate. By the way, Richards batting first is not what I'm talking about, because Richards is the best batter. He is batting first. However, Williams batting second there is crazy. Like,
if he's playing, he should be the 8 or the 9.
Right.
And that if is kind of like, really probably shouldn't.
Doing some heavy lifting there.
Yeah. And like, the reason why we're spending time on this, right, is because Gary, as we've said multiple times throughout the offseason and now into the season, is fascinating. Because, like, you look at all of them, they don't really have that many blowout losses. And I'm going to consider a blowout loss 5 or more. Because everything else is like conceivable one swing can tie a game. Right? And so they have the one bad loss to Cleveland, which Cleveland got to happen.
Yep.
And that's it. And that's it. Everything else is within 4 runs. And
that is not historically how they've been. There is improvement here. Don't fumble.
Exactly. But it's just like, just look back at some of their most recent losses. They got shut out tonight by Chicago, 2-zip. Shut out by Fargo, the game we're hyper-analyzing, 2-zip. 3-1 Fargo. Then a 3-2 loss to Winnipeg. Which they got the series win there. Good series win against Winnipeg. We're going to talk about them literally a second here. This is the last point I'm making on this. 1-run loss to Sioux City. 4-run loss to Sioux City. 2-run loss to Sioux City. Good team, though. I'm okay with that. 4-run loss to Cleveland. Again, good team. Don't care. The 13-run shellacking. Okay, at a certain point, you realize this is out of reach. We're not wasting our time on this. On to tomorrow. Fine. Cool with it. Though you wish the blowout would not happen on a Friday night at home, but hey, that's life in the city.
Tough one.
Yeah, got to win the night before. They lost by 1 to Cleveland before that. Looked really good. Lost by 3 to Cleveland. Again, not that bad. Like, fine. Shut up by Milwaukee by 4. Not great. And then a 2-1 loss, the opening day games. So whatever. Fine. Don't care. It's not a hopeless cause like it's been in the past.
Yeah.
And that's what's annoying. And I can't tell if this is to play devil's advocate, and I want to be clear, this is the devil's advocate position, is, well, Lamar put together this roster, and he's just such a great motivator that he's getting them to play above their weight class, but it's still not enough. Which even then, it's like, okay, so we did an inferior job of building a lineup and a roster. He should have done better. Okay, cool. That's an interesting argument, but whatever. I'm open to it. Or, more likely, he didn't build a good roster, but there's certain guys here that are achieving or overachieving, and they just don't have the stuff, or they're not in a position to succeed. And it's frustrating because they played some really good teams in there, really close. And if you could have even just flipped 3 or 4 of those 1 to 2 run losses the other way, we're looking at a team that instead of being 5-14 as we record, they are now 9-10, and they are firmly in a playoff spot, nearing a fifth of the way through the season, and in a league where just about everyone makes postseason, and 9-10 would currently, by the way, have them tie for the playoff position. So not quite firmly. So I'm a little bit exaggerating there, but depending on which way they flip, they may be more firmly in it. But regardless, none of that's important. The fact will remain they'd be 2 to 3 games out of first place in the division. Having played tough teams, not even having gotten to the softies yet.
Yeah.
And that's what's frustrating. It's missed opportunities. And it's unforced errors. And that's what's frustrating as hell. That's all I have to say on Gary. So Winnipeg now. Are we concerned about them? 8-12, not really looking strong on a 3-game skid.
I mean, we expected a turnaround to start when they got home. And, you know, it looked good in the beginning. They won their first 2 against Milwaukee at home, and then dropped their next 2, including then 2 out of 3 to Gary, and then went on the road, and they've won 1 and then lost 3 in a row. So, yeah, this is not necessarily showing the promise that we were hoping to see from them at home. There's just one of those things where there is just a drop off in the lineup. Like there's good pieces, but there's not enough to support them. Murphy and Armstrong obviously is their show. Sosa's looking good behind the dish, but man, they are. I'm not sure I'm sounding the alarm quite yet. It's just because they're only a game behind Sioux Falls, but this is it is, I'd say, cause for concern.
Yeah, the lack of offense is concerning to me. The upcoming schedule is concerning to me. Lake Country and Kansas City on the horizon aren't exactly, really inspiring confidence here.
No.
Pitching staff, it kind of drops off after the first 2 starters. Ryder Yackel, I hope is going to continue up his pace, and Tasker Straubel's always good. But after that, it kind of starts to skid. Juan Echeverria making 2 starts and only having 7 innings to show for it kind of, is what it is. I am concerned greatly by some of that. I don't know where the turnaround can begin, though, right? Because I'm looking and I'm like, 2 more against Lake Country, fine. At home, then, Kane and then Kansas City. That's going to be a tough 6-game stretch. Now Kane's starting to find their footing. You go to Chicago, you go to Gary. That could be your get-right streak, because then you get to go home and play Sioux Falls before getting Sioux City. So, I mean, it feels like that middle 2 weeks of June are where it's either going to be we're here to make a statement or we're here to go and die. It's kind of where it feels for me. And I hate to be hyperbolic like that, but by that point, we'll be approaching, 40 games? And, a lot of teams make the postseason. With the association, if you're a team that has expectation, postseason doesn't really mean much, right?
Yeah.
It's being able to choose whom you're going to play that means something to me for that, and whether or not I feel confident in your ability to go and win a round or 2. And right now, Winnipeg is not that team. And they're a game out of a playoff spot, so we shouldn't panic. But again, by virtue of Lincoln being a non-factor, you're always going to be not worst and have some easy games coming up. And right now in your division, it's a very clear pecking order as to who the 1, who the 2, and who the 3 are.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's where my concern is for them.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add other than just the basic observations of that one. I haven't gotten to see much of Winnipeg playing so far. It's just been their schedule is not lined up with mine very well, and then this whole week has obviously been very NoCo Owl focused. So maybe I'll give a longer look in the next couple of days, and we'll see what we think.
Absolutely. So cleanup work just for the association now. Looking back series from last week, Fargo and Sioux City. Sioux City took only one of those. They got a 2-zip shutout, and then Fargo took the other 2, 4-1 and 6-3. Lake Country dropped 2 of 3 to Kansas City. Ugh, got my KCs mixed up. It
does it to me every time. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. 9-3 and 3-2 the losses, but they could do again an 8-3 win. And then Milwaukee-Chicago series that we really talked about last week, where we said this could be very big for both of them to really start to turn around. Is the offense going to get going for Chicago or not? They responded big by getting that sweep and pretty decisive too. A 12-3 win, an 8-3 win, and then an 11-3 win. The offense showed up. 4-game winning streak for them now, 8-2 in the last 10. They've really come alive from a slow start. They're 1 game back in their division, and the East is looking like a just dog fight every which way. Man. Dog hounds, dogs, Chicago, the type. Railroaders, we'll call them rail dogs, just to really make the dog point. So that's all something there. I will also say, speaking of railroaders, Steven Rivas, great week for him. Hit 400, 3 home runs, 2 walks, 11 RBI, 5 games, phenomenal. Connor Ash's season's been great, but his week was especially good too for the Cougs. 13 innings, 18 Ks. I mean, that's great in and of itself. Only 1 run that he allowed. Series to watch this week, though, real quick. Lincoln at Kane could be interesting. I think this is where King can really start to step themselves apart. That started yesterday now, the 30th versus the first. Same thing with this Cleveland Sioux City series. That could be both second place teams are going to fight it out. And that's going to be very interesting to watch. And then Kansas City at Fargo could be a real fun one, too. That could be a division shifting hands ones. That's next week, 2nd through the 5th. So something to watch there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You can get late early if you lose the wrong series.
Exactly. We're nearly, by this time next week, we'll be a quarter of the way through the year. So things come by quick. Atlantic League again screwed this week. We're not going to talk about you just because it's late.
They got those weeks where it's like we'll be fine on that. They'll get plenty of shine. Yeah. They have those solo weeks during the season where it's like just them doing their thing. Exactly.
And if I'm being real, outside of York and High Point, you're looking pretty mid right now.
Yeah, that's true. That was the other thing I keep noticing.
So we'll leave that there. So we're going to leave it off. This is probably going to wind up being 2 episodes. So yay, bonus episodes. Love those. And so covered a lot of ground this week. And on that note, do you have anything to promote or add?
Indie Ball Nation, I'll be following up the NoCo video with some other videos that are less off the field drama, more on the field chat. But obviously this week I've been very focused on that. So keep an eye out. That's about it. Indie Ball Nation on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, podcast platforms. There you go.
Yeah. Hoping to launch the in-season schedule this week at the start of June. Look for that. Have some content dropping soon. And yeah, that's about it. And Indie Ball Pod on Twitter, Indie Ball Pod, wherever else. So, on that note, check out Ryan's video. It's going to be something else.
That's a long one. No.
Hey, put the work in on it, though. It'll be good. So
maybe. It's a weird one. It'll be fine. It'll be great. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. But until next time, don't forget to play ball.